Do. Here is the amazing, the awesome, the most humble, the author of the World Peace Diet, Dr. Will Tuttle.
Thanks so much, Charles. I'm delighted to be with you. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to focus on world peace. This is World Unity Week, and we're focusing on world peace meditations for the next about an hour, a little less. And I want to share with you three meditations that I created. It was part actually of a vision that I had a few years ago when I was on a retreat by myself in the mountains just outside of Palm Springs, the beautiful wilderness. And I was there, Mount San Jacinto, up high in a tent for quite a few days. And I remember toward the end, I had this kind of a vision of an eightfold path, or 8 different types of consciousness that all work together to help create abundance and peace and harmony in our lives. And so I ended up putting that all together, and it's in a CD. And I'd like to share 3 of those right now. And they're basically short guided meditations, and with an explanation a little bit about it. And these are things that you can learn. That's what I do. I've learned, and I can do them during the day. A lot of people like to do this on a regular basis every morning or evening to connect with one of them, either world peace or abundance, or earth healing, or radiant health. There's a number of them. Harmonious relations, animal relations is another one. And we can go through them, but I'd like to play now just something I pre-recorded because it has the music with it and everything, just a few days ago, just very recently, just a couple of days ago. And it has these 3 meditations and with the music, and then we'll come back together. I'll be here live, and we will have Q&A, and I'll talk some more about what this is all about, really, which is a way of living, not so much something that we have to do to fix the world or fix ourselves, but a way of living that's based on cultivating our natural connection with our true nature. And this is something that goes in many ways completely contrary to the flow of our society, which is focused mainly on us putting on a mask and trying to impress people and so forth. But this is really about the opposite of that, connecting with our eternal, infinite consciousness, the source of our life, and being connected with that as we go throughout our day. So I'm going to go ahead now and start. Thanks again for joining us. I'm going to be just hitting the screen share, and we'll go ahead and start this. And then, like I say, it's it's about 20 minutes or so, 25 minutes at the most. So here we go. And we'll share the screen. And this is it. I am delighted to be participating in the World Unity Week effort to help raise awareness on this beautiful planet that we may live in harmony with each other. I'm delighted to be able to share with you 3 of the meditations that are taken from the Eightfold Path that I was inspired to create several years ago. It's on a CD called World Peace Meditations, The Eightfold Path for Opening Hearts, The Noble Way to Happiness for All. I was on a meditation retreat in the mountains near Palm Springs in Southern California. And at the end of the retreat, when I was alone in the forest, these 8 different domains of awareness and of living interconnected really with our daily life and with our life that we share together came to me. And so these 8 domains of meditation that we can focus on for healing and for awakening are: number 1, intuition; number 2, relationships; number 3, world peace; number 4, our animal relations; number 5, earth healing; number 6, radiant health; number 7, abundance; and the last one, number 8, joy and gratitude. And these are all basically interconnected I talk about these somewhat in my book, The World Peace Diet, and in some of the other books that I've written, but this is a presentation really focusing on just three of those, which are harmonious relationships, world peace, and earth healing, which I think are most essential during these critical and tumultuous times that we're experiencing. So I'd like to go ahead and get started. And the basic idea is that meditation is not some newfangled, strange, unscientific thing that only people from other cultures engage in. It's a basic human capacity and a human activity, which is to bring our conscious awareness into this present moment. So it's a very healing and fundamental way of being for human beings. However, in our society, which is based on dominating and exploiting nature and animals, we're not really comfortable with ourselves at a very deep level, culturally. And so meditation is discouraged. We're encouraged to be busy and always trying to change ourselves or change other people. And this creates a frenetic kind of activity, which is not the best thing for us in terms of our own psychological health, our cultural health, our physical health, our spiritual health, and our environmental health. So these are all interconnected dimensions of health that it is essential really for us to be aware of. So I'd like to go ahead and begin by inviting everyone to join with me in the first of the meditations. We'll do a meditation first, and I'll talk a little bit about it. Just allow yourself to enter more deeply now into this present moment. We'll be basically doing a meditation together on harmonious relationships. And the whole idea in all of these meditation practices is to connect with the present moment. So again, this is something that we all know in our bones is important because life actually happens in this present moment. It doesn't happen anywhere else. And yet very often we can live our entire lives never actually being here after we're the age of maybe 6 or 7 years old. We're not here. We're always thinking about what we should have done or what they should have done or what we wish we would have done or we wish they wouldn't have done or what we're going to do next or whatever it is. Or we're constantly thinking. And so I think it's very helpful for us to take time every day for a certain period of time. In the morning, you always spend at least a couple of hours in the morning in meditation practice. And I think it's the greatest thing. Inner silence is the most healing power there is. I've come to feel deeply in my being. All right, so thanks for your interest in this. We'll go ahead and dive in. This is the first of the three meditations on harmonious relationships. So we'll begin by preparing. Let's just become aware of our breathing. And with every exhalation, letting go of any thoughts of the past or of the future, and entering more deeply into this present moment. The only holy moment is right now. With every exhalation, I relax more and more deeply into this present moment. I give thanks for this precious opportunity of a human birth, for this time on earth to grow in wisdom and compassion. I give thanks knowing that the light that shines in the very heart of the universe is shining right now in my heart and is shining in every cell of my being, in every dimension of my life, bringing every dimension of my life into harmony and into alignment with the highest purpose that I'm here to serve. I give thanks for all the teachers in my life. I give thanks for all the world's spiritual teachings that help to awaken the mind and heart to a deeper understanding of the interconnectedness of all life. I give thanks for my loved ones and for all sentient beings who are on the path of awakening from the illusion of separateness to the truth of the unity of all life and the truth that all life is a manifestation of infinite love. Harmonious relationships. All my relationships with others are fulfilling and harmonious because I understand that we are all manifestations of infinite creative love. I see beyond any disturbing outer appearances to the essential beauty, integrity, freedom, and benevolence that is always shining at the core of everyone I come in contact with in any way. I acknowledge and give thanks for the light of wisdom and compassion that shines as the true nature of everyone I meet. I feel loving kindness and goodwill flowing from my mind and heart toward everyone in the world, and have hostility toward no one. I let go easily and freely of any inner animosity toward others, understanding that the essential nature of others is pure, innocent, and loving. In speaking, thinking of, and relating to others, I address their essential nature, seeing, recognizing, and affirming the truth of their radiant beauty and wholeness. All my relationships are mutually beneficial, and as I express myself with honesty and love to others, I bless them in their lives, and in return, I am also blessed. My relationships with non-human animals are harmonious, fulfilling, and educational. I understand that all animals are expressions of divine love, and they naturally fulfill their purposes as part of the magnificent creation. There are no animals who are dangerous or harmful, or who are pests. Rightly understood, I see that all living beings are made in the image of infinite love, and this is their essence and true nature, and all my relationships with them flow from this inspired understanding. Letting go of habitual thoughts and cultural programming, I allow my mind and heart to rise to clarity, peace, and joy in my relationships with others, so that I am never tempted to manipulate, use, or harm others in any way for my own benefit. I also know that no one else would be motivated to manipulate, harm, or use me for their benefit. I relax into the allness, freedom, and abundance of infinite life, and know that in truth, I can never gain or lose anything, nor can I ever be either blamed or praised, nor be harmed or stolen from. Ultimately, these are but material illusions, an awakening from the dream that life is confined to material existence. I open to the truth, freedom, and joy of knowing that essentially I am, and all beings are, eternal consciousness. We are all manifestations of one life, and in this we are deeply interconnected with each other. I am grateful that all my relationships bring an abundance of joy, love, and harmony into my life. Awakening to and understanding the infinite interconnectedness of all life, I see a world of beauty and kindness inhabited by innumerable manifestations of love, and I address this in others, bringing out the best in all of us. I give thanks for the harmony, support, camaraderie, joy, humor, and mutual benefit in my relationships with everyone, and know that I am part of an awakening on this earth of human consciousness to create a world that reflects the freedom, creativity, and harmony of being. I give thanks knowing this is so, and so it is. So thank you for joining with me in the meditation on harmonious relationships. I know as we're listening to those words, we just allow them perhaps to penetrate into our consciousness, and we may feel that some of the ideas are somewhat radical. We maybe have narratives in our mind that we got from our society that no, some people are dangerous, some animals are dangerous, some things can harm us, and so forth. And while there's truth to that on a certain level, it's important to always remain open to the deeper levels of truth and the deeper levels of being. If I'm in a dream and I dream that I got a bite from an insect, or that someone insulted me, or whatever it is, in the dream I may be afraid or nervous or angry. But when I wake up from the dream, I can smile and say, wow, it was just a dream. And there's a very important lesson in that, because our entire awareness, our entire world, our entire experience is an arising in our consciousness. So we are raised in a society based on dualism, where we're taught to think from the time we're little kids that we're separate from each other, from nature, from the world around us. And that if we want things to be better, we have to work on changing other people or changing the outer circumstances. And we're really wounded by this, I think, in a very profound way. And so the whole idea is to turn the light of our consciousness back onto ourselves and realize that what we are is creative. And we're creating our experience moment after moment. And we can reframe anything. We can find the good in literally anything. When we get a big enough perspective, we can see that from a higher point of view, in terms of what we are as infinite and eternal consciousness, that is not this body, that what we are is never born and never dies, that we're here to learn and to grow. And so even though we can't change outer circumstances necessarily, we can always change our response to them. That's the power that we have. And from that power, we can begin to be a force for healing, a force for world peace. So I'd like to now go ahead and invite us to the second meditation. And this will be a meditation on world peace. So again, the whole idea with this presentation is that we actually practice a sense of inner listening. So when you're listening to the words, remember to allow the words to enter without criticism, without inner criticism, and just see what comes up as you do that. And know that as words and thoughts and ideas enter our mind, and they are entertained by our mind, they really have an effect on our body as well. Our mind and body are not separate, and they have an effect on our actions. Our actions come out of our thoughts. Our body is an arising, really in many ways created by our thoughts and feelings. Many of them have been repressed and come out so we can see them in our body and also in the body of our affairs. And so when we have a lot of human beings who are not in harmony with themselves, we create an appearance in the outer world of conflict, world disharmony. So again, we breathe a little bit as we prepare for this meditation, knowing that we have tremendous power to transform our consciousness. And through that, since we're all interconnected at the level of awareness and consciousness, we actually are helping to raise the vibration and the awareness of other people, of other human beings, of the whole human family. There's the old saying that when the tide comes in, it raises all the boats. And the tide can be our own awareness. When our awareness rises and our vibration increases, and we're resonating at a level of joy and love and freedom and creativity and loving kindness, compassion for others, then we're radiating at the harmony of peace. So these meditations, by the way, which are on the CD, they're accompanied by original piano music that I composed to go with them. And as a musician for the last almost 70 years, I really resonated, I'm sure we all do, with the power of music and the power of sound. The power of sound is magical and transformational. And the words and the music of our own being and of the melody that we are and the unique harmony and the unique rhythms that each one of us have, they really can help us to be a more effective agent of healing and blessing our world. So let's connect with this idea of harmony as we go into this second meditation, which is a meditation on world peace. Core of my being, I am always at peace. Whatever the outer appearances may be, to the physical senses or that I read or hear about in the media or in conversations, I know that at a deeper level, peace, loving kindness, and harmony are the essence of my mind and of reality. I know that world peace is inevitable because I am every day and in every moment creating my experience of the world. My being and my life are part of the infinite and eternal web of being. And as I continually awaken to and live the truth of loving kindness, joy, gratitude, abundance, and intuition, I create within me and around me a field of peace and harmony that is contagious and unstoppable. I abide naturally in equanimity because I understand that infinite love is the essential reality. And every being is a reflection of this love. And this love lives as love in my heart for everyone. Inner peace is my true nature because it is the essential nature of being. All life is interconnected and is part of one harmonious, complete, and transcendent oneness that embraces all living beings in kindness, understanding, and benevolent goodwill. The earth also abides naturally and at peace in all times and circumstances. Beyond the outer apparent disruptions, the earth herself radiates peace and harmony at her core. I see that the earth is a brilliant blue and white multicolored jewel spinning in space, radiating beauty and infinite possibilities for good. I can see that every being on earth is awakening in his or her own timing and rhythm, and that as more and more of us awaken, the truth field surrounding the planet is building and increasing, making it easier for even more of us to realize our true nature. I give thanks knowing that in this moment, eternal peace is established on earth now and forever. In timeless time, our past, present, and future are inseparable, and the wisdom and world peace that are inevitable are in fact established right here and right now. Peace is my true nature and is also the true nature of everyone in my world. We dwell in peace, joy, love, and unity together, always whatever the outer appearance may be. I give thanks knowing this is so, and so it is. Let's take a moment now to just breathe together and inhale that awareness of the foundation of all life and being, which is the peace that can never, ever be upset by any happening in the outer world. So we just breathe that in, giving thanks for our consciousness, for our awareness, for the opportunity that we have to be a force for healing and awakening in this world, which in many ways appears to be suffering with conflict, disease, misunderstanding, exploitation and oppression of the weak by the strong, and how these things seem to be passed on from generation to generation. But at a deeper level, we understand that this is transitory and what we are is eternal. And we are anchored in eternity. It's as if in many ways what we are is the sky. The sky is radiant and infinite and eternal, vast beyond measure. And so when clouds come by, we may forget that we're the sky and we may think, oh no, here's a cloud, it's blocking my view, it's blocking the sun, it's taken over the whole panorama. And yet ultimately all the clouds will dissolve, the sky alone will remain. Everything passes away, but not the sky. So we are the sky, and remembering this, as you're tuning into this, every morning when we wake up, we can practice, we can make an actual practice, an effort to remember the first thought when we awaken in the morning. Another day, another sky, opportunity to witness, to be aware of what's arising, and to shine the benevolent light of our consciousness into the world, to bless others. What greater gift is there than to have this opportunity to be a blessing to the world and to do the best we can to bring peace and harmony to others. Well, again, thank you for joining in this meditation on world peace, for joining in the meditation for harmonious relationships. And now I'd like to invite us to prepare for the third meditation, a final meditation. And this is the meditation of the 8, as I mentioned in the beginning, on earth healing. All 8 of these meditations are interconnected. Doing any one of them will actually do all the other 7 as well, because they're all coming from the same basic source, the same basic understanding of our life as transcendent to what we see here on this earth as matter. So we'll just take a moment now as we prepare. And together we join for the third meditation, earth healing. And just taking a moment as we begin our meditation on earth healing to feel our connection with this beautiful earth. I open to our earth, our planetary home in space, this beautiful oasis of life in a sea of stars. And as I look at our earth from space, I send love and appreciation to her and open to her majesty and beauty and to her vulnerability. Zooming slowly in, I enter her atmosphere. Her blue skies and white clouds enfold me, and I marvel at her meadows, rich with flowers, grasses, clover, and birds. Her forests with pines, oaks, maples, and birches. Her lakes and rivers with jumping fish. Her soaring mountains with cliffs, rocks, and glaciers. Her rolling grasslands. Her stark deserts. Her oceans with islands, atolls, reefs, waves, and leaping whales. Her frozen polar regions, and her tropical jungles teeming with life. I am aware of her suffering also. Human exploitation has been mindless and relentless. I see all that, and I see a transformation taking place. Humanity is awakening. People are refusing to own or exploit the earth or any of her creatures. Kindness, respect for all life, peace, and healing are sweeping like a wave through the collective consciousness of humanity. The old indoctrinated habits of violence toward animals for food and other products are evaporating as we all realize the sacred beauty and interconnectedness of all life on our earth. I can see the rainforests healing and thriving as the chainsaws are forever silenced. I see forests naturally reclaiming the monocrop fields which are no longer needed, and habitat for wildlife being restored. I hear birds singing, and I see rivers and streams returning, and their waters naturally purifying. The oceans and reefs coming back to life as people need only a fraction of the resources now that everyone has transitioned to plant-based diets and lifestyles. I see the climate stabilizing and beautiful webs of communities and abundant organic gardens as we remember our purpose and honor the earth as the splendid paradise that she is. The skies are clear and fragrant breezes caress the hair of joyful children playing in the sunshine. The old ways of human devastation are gone forever. The earth is healed, a bright, blue-green jewel, basking in the light, home to a wondrous celebration of life. I give thanks knowing this is so, and so it is. So again, let's just take that in to every cell in our being, that beautiful vision of our earth, manifesting always magnificent creativity and beauty and abundance that supports all life here, whole, amazingly bright and filled with ever increasing possibilities of creativity and adventure, where beings can live out their lives, learning and growing and celebrating in beauty and in happiness and benevolence. And that we as human beings, as individuals, have the power to manifest this vision right now. So many thanks again to all of you for your efforts on behalf of a more kind, compassionate, aware, awake, and truth-filled way of living on this earth, knowing that unity, the infinite interconnectedness of all life, is the fundamental truth of being. We give thanks knowing this is so, and so it is. And I just want to invite you in closing to go forth to multiply this message in your own unique way and to fulfill your destiny, your unique purpose in the great unfolding of life on this earth, and to give the gifts that you are uniquely suited to giving. Thanks again for all your efforts. And together the unity of life is established and our purpose is established. May all beings be happy, may all beings be free, and may we all continue to work together to build a more enlightened society, a world that reflects the truth of the infinite interconnectedness of life, the unity of life, a world that cares for everyone. Much love and appreciation. Thank you. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for sharing this time of meditation, these 3 meditations on world peace and on earth healing and on harmonious relations. And I wonder, it's we have a few more minutes, and I wanted to do 2 things really. Number one, say a few more words about these meditations, possibly lead one more. I was thinking one on radiant health, if you'd like. But if that's enough, I'll also address any questions or comments that you may have, because this is really a great opportunity to have some interconnected dialogue, if you'd like to make a comment or ask a question or an observation or whatever. So, but the main thing I want to just emphasize, after going through those 3 meditations, the underlying idea really is that the power that we have as individuals is in our capacity to at every moment connect with the deeper truths that what we are and what every manifestation of life is actually is an expression of eternal consciousness. And so instead of getting trapped in the small view, the small picture, that I'm a victim, in a sense, that something as bad is happening to me, or I have to try to manipulate things to make them go the way I want them to go, to see the bigger picture that all of us really are manifestations of the same life. That's the unity that underlies everything. And I love this image of a stage, right? A drama that's unfolding and it's happening, and there's all these plots and subplots happening, and there's enemies and heroes and lovers and all these different things happen, and so forth. And then at a certain point, it's over. And then all the characters go backstage, right? And maybe the one that was the 2 biggest enemies are like, hey, you did a good job on that, and you played your role pretty well there, And there's this whole sense later that we're not actually the being, right? We are not the role, and the being in the role. We are the being with a capital B that makes it all possible. And this is, I think, a very important understanding to have, more so if we can actually experience it. That's why meditation is not something you can just read a book and then say, okay, now I figured that out. It's an actual daily practice of, in many ways, unlearning. It's learning, but it's also unlearning. It's learning to be more present, but most of it, from my experience, is unlearning to let go of the huge, it's kind of like laying down a burden. We carry this luggage with us this whole story, this narrative that keeps everything going, right? There's the story that's always playing out that makes sense of everything. And yet, if we can learn to simplify that and just be aware, just be the witness and see what's happening and see our responses also in the same way, then the fish hooks that kind of tend to grab and pull us and, hurt us, seem to hurt us, they kind of let go. The Taoist tradition, they say it's becoming like a person of smoke, in the sense that there's nowhere for these things that would normally irritate or frustrate us or make us afraid or angry or whatever. There's no place for them to grab, because we realize that we are the source of what's arising. It's arising in our consciousness. And this is something that I think really, to have any actual authenticity, requires a regular practice of entering again into the moment. Like I say, every morning I spend time doing this. I think it's great to just, during the day, however your schedule allows, but to remember we are responsible. So to really try to carve out time, take responsibility for that, to spend time, especially in nature if possible, or in a quiet space in your home, to listen within, listen internally, and not try to change anything. Just listen to the breathing, be aware of the thoughts that are arising, and whatever comes up, let it go, and then become aware of just this moment. I think when we develop this capacity, then when somebody cuts us off in traffic, instead of just reacting and saying, you could have killed me, or you jerk, whatever, we breathe, we remember to breathe and come back to this present moment. So there's many overlays that this has, many different directions we can go from there. So I'd like to see if anyone would like to say something. I know if you go to the, I think it's called reactions at the bottom, and click, you can raise your hand. And so if you want to say something, that's a good time to do it, I think, because we still have some time on our schedule to address any questions or comments that you may have, or problems that you may be facing. And also, if there aren't any specific questions, I'm happy to say some more about meditation, because to me, there's probably in many ways nothing more important in terms of the foundation of our happiness than the quality of our consciousness, which is something we have responsibility for, I believe. And one of the things, I'll just say this too, because I think it's critical. There's this basic sense that there's these two powers in the world, right? There's the power of the group, right, the society, and their power, and then there's the power of the individual. These are two huge powers, and the power of the individual is the power that each one of us has with our consciousness to make our choices of what we're going to do, how we're going to live, what we're going to say, what our aspirations are, and how we live our life. But then we have this whole context of all the human beings around us, and the earth, and the communities, and our language, and our thoughts, and our education, and the religion, and the government, the IRS, all these different things. And so that's the context. And so that seems to have a lot of power in determining what and how we're going to live our lives. So of these two powers, which is greater? Which is the bigger power, do you think, the individual or the group? In a certain way, you could say, well, the individuals create the group creates the individual, it's equal. But I don't think so. I think there's definitely one is more powerful than the other, and that the power really ultimately is in the individual. We have the power. And I think it's very important to really understand that we have ultimately the greatest power, ultimately, and to have a bigger view than maybe even than just this life. And that maybe goes against some of the Western traditions, but to see things in the bigger picture, that our life is an opportunity to grow, and the outer world that is arising, which does affect us enormously, but we can always choose our response. And if we get enlightened enough or aware enough, we can continue to create responses that are inspiring and educational and liberating and creative, no matter what happens. I mean, this is really the challenge, I think. But I feel deeply within myself that we do have that capacity, all of us as individuals. There's tremendous capacities that we have that are in many ways undreamt of in our society, because our society is focused really on materialism, on the shallow level of only matter exists. And we're taught early on that our health, for example, really depends on other people and the doctor and taking the right drugs and so forth to stay healthy. And so I think, again, it's really important for us to question the official narratives. One of the most important things any of us can do, really, I think, to be a force for healing in the world, is to question the official narratives of our society and create our own narrative that is empowering and liberating, and is filled with a sense of inclusivity, to include all beings within the sphere of our kindness and concern, to realize we're not just this one little expression of life. We actually include all manifestations of life. When we get high enough up, we can see that this little one walking around that I identify with my name, that's me. Actually, when we get up high enough, we see it's the same. I had a Zen teacher, and he gave this metaphor of, he said, imagine that you have a box, a square box, and it's sitting in the sunshine. And somebody has took an ice pick or some kind of little thing and poked a bunch of holes in the box. So if you're inside the box, there's all these little shafts of light coming down, right, through into the box. And if you were one of those little shafts of light, you would say, yeah, here I am, and there's that other shaft of light over there, and that's a nice one. I don't like that one. So the whole idea is we're in this box, and each one of us is an individual shaft of light, and we feel like we're separate. But if you were able somehow to go back up, and get out of the box, you would see that it's one light making all these little shafts of light, and you would start laughing, in a sense, at the idea that we're separate little beings. And I think this is a journey that we can take. It's a journey that, again, is not supported by our society, which is emphasizing that we have to compete with each other, and there's not enough to go around. We better work hard and try to manipulate others and even harm them if we have to get what we need, and so forth. These narratives that really create what in the Buddhist tradition is referred to as samsara, which means suffering that never ends. Because as long as we're lost in the delusion of being a fundamentally separate self, trying to manipulate others to get what I want and keep away what I don't want, and others are doing the same thing, it's a never-ending suffering. And even when we get a lot, we accumulate what we want, we can lose it. And so the whole idea is we need to leave that whole drama behind. And what better place to do it than here on planet Earth, right? What better place to be able to actually practice that and to create a context that encourages others to join with us in doing that. So each one of us can make a huge difference, I think, in creating a more healthy world. So thank you, all of you, for caring about these ideas and for maintaining your own practice, because that's really what it is. I think, I'm well known for promoting vegan living, which is basically just compassion for all living beings and actually living it. But I want to say that veganism is not like a static state. It's a practice. And it's the same thing with meditation. It's not a static state. It's a practice. Everything is a practice. I was so lucky, I think, when I was a kid, that my father played the piano, and he said, I said, I want to be able to make music like you do. And he said, you can do it. You just got to practice. And he's right. I mean, that's the key to everything. It's practicing. So whatever we practice, we'll get good at. if we practice being afraid and being a victim of whatever's happening, we'll get really good at that. We can become a master. We can become better than anybody, right? But do we really want to practice that? Or do we want to practice, how can I reframe whatever's happening to be something that is uplifting and positive and creates a momentum of healing and awakening? And health, I think, is a huge issue right now. And Charles, I want to ask you just quickly, you had your hand sort of raised. Is there anything else you want to ask or say? Or I could also do a short meditation here too. Yeah, go ahead.
I thought you were trying to exit, and I just want to honor you and thank you for being here. I felt so blessed as I experienced those only three of the 8 World Peace Meditations, and felt energetically encompassing the entire week of World Unity Week. I mean, no one could have watched or participated in every one of the hundreds of events and activities, but oh my God, it was just such a beautiful gift and offering. And I love to play with acronyms, so I love that. Become a person of smoke, and I'm going to work on that one for spiritually mature observer. What was the other one? With knowledge and enlightenment, on the path to enlightenment. So thank you for giving me the acronym of the day. So if anybody has any questions, ask them now. If not, I think Will's going to offer us a little something else before we depart this wonderful session. If you have a question, use that reactions box, raise your hand, and Dr. Will Tuttle's here just for you.
Thank you so much, Charles. And again, thanks to everyone. Yeah, so I'm happy to do a short meditation on radiant health, because I think that's something that a lot of people are concerned with right now too. And I was hoping to, if possible, to have time for that. So I'll go ahead and this is a relatively short meditation, and we can go ahead and do this one, I think, as we get towards the closing. So let's just take a moment and turn our attention within and connect with this idea of health, of radiant health, the being that we are, and the health of the being that we are, not just physically, but on every dimension, psychologically and spiritually, and on every dimension of our outer affairs of our life. There is ultimately one power, love, the source of all life, and this infinite love, the source of my life, establishes every dimension of my life in radiant health and harmony. What I am is essentially consciousness, which is whole, complete, free, and of the nature of joy and creative harmony, beyond birth and death, beyond disease, sin, and limitation. I relax and abide in the truth of being, and feel the joy and peaceful assurance that comes naturally as I understand that I am essentially eternal awareness, forever unharmed and undamageable by material experiences. I look with eyes that see this truth in others also, their beauty, health, innocence, purity, compassion, and creativity. I look beyond the material illusions of my own thought and interpretation and see all living beings as beautiful manifestations of infinite and eternal life. I see that I am also always the light of universal love, radiantly expressing. I let go of any thought that is contrary to this and return home to the spiritual truth that I am always established in harmony on every level of body, mind, and emotions and affairs, and that this perfect health is not something I must attain. It naturally manifests as I think and act in alignment with the truth that there is but one life living through all of us, and that as I bless others, I am blessed. As I give to others, I receive abundantly. As I help others, I am helped. As I see others as beautiful and treat them kindly, I find this same manifesting in my experience. My physical body is supple, strong, and flexible, and I move and express myself easily and freely and with abundant energy and vitality. I give thanks for the harmony and joy that I feel flowing through all the fibers and cells of my being. All my senses are acute and clear. My hearing is fine and sensitive, and my vision is bright, sharp, clear, broad, and unimpeded. My senses of smell, taste, and touch are all activated and alive and open to the possibilities of engaging deeply with life and feeling fully. My mind is sharp and clear, my memory strong and accurate, and my thoughts are calm and filled with gratitude and peace, and creative insights come easily and naturally. The joy of radiant health and wellness is my true nature. I relax, let go, and know that this is so, and so it is. So again, thank you for taking time to connect with the meditation on radiant health. And really, I think we can just try to, not even try, just open to the possibility of allowing these kinds of thoughts entrance into our mind. And there's something that I think goes with that in a sense, which is called standing porter at the gate. Have you heard of that? Standing porter at the gate of thought, right? So the whole idea is that our thoughts are coming and going all the time. And very often our thoughts come from the outside. They come from the news, the media, from friends and neighbors, from our parents. Even though they're passed away, they're still talking to us. And these thoughts that come in maybe say, oh no, I'm very susceptible to this or that. So really we can stand porter at the gate of our thought and say, I'm not going to entertain that thought right now. I'm going to entertain a different thought and give thanks. Gratitude is one of the greatest ways of just turning things around. So if I feel that, I have this chronic pain in my lower back and I keep thinking about it and talking about it, I can also give thanks knowing that there's the true being that I am is not harmed that way. And we can actually heal these things by understanding, by actually connecting at a deeper level with our true nature. And I've seen this happen. Sometimes it requires us to heal a wound. Like, for example, I mentioned the pain in the lower back. I'll just tell this very brief story. Some of you may have heard it, but I'll say it very briefly. I was on a meditation retreat years ago in Oregon in a little tiny cabin where I was doing Tibetan Buddhist prostrations. I was doing thousands of prostrations every day as part of a practice. I was all by myself for months. I didn't see another human being. And so I got into kind of a totally altered state of consciousness, I think. But at one point, I got a really terrible pain in my lower back. And I remember it was in the evening and it was a sharp pain. And I thought, oh gosh, this is a disaster. I couldn't even bend over. It hurt so much. And so I sat on the edge of I went to bed, and then the next morning I woke up and I was hoping the pain in my back was gone, but it was still there, just as bad as it was. So I meditated for an hour or so. And then I remember I heard this voice at one point speaking like loudly. It said, I'll never forget it. It said, a pain in the body is a pain in the mind. Just that's the fact. A pain in the body is a pain in the mind. So I went, So I remember I got up on the bed and I had a journal. I started writing in my journal, a pain in the body is a pain in the mind. What does that mean, actually? And so as I wrote about it, it came to me. I went back to when I was a child, and little Billy, I was called back then. I was actually a very happy little kid running around and everything. But at a certain point, when I got to be, I don't know what it was, 9 or 10 or 11, suddenly things weren't so friendly anymore. I was starting to have problems, and I wore glasses for the first time. I was starting to have issues. And so instead of reaching out to life, I was trying to sort of protect myself more. And that was an emotional wound that was in me, very deep level, that I had lived with. And I think doing so much meditation, being by myself all those weeks, these things wanted to come up and be addressed and healed. And I could feel that, actually. And I could see that little boy, and he was hurt, and the pain that he had. And it was interesting because the pain that I experienced in my lower back was every time I reached out, right? Every time I reached forward to get something, it hurt, And I thought, that's exactly what I went through as a little kid. I was like, I always liked reaching out and trying new things and jumping in and whatever. And then I was like, well, I'm not going to do that anymore. I got hurt, And so as I wrote about it, I then felt and realized that that may be true for that little kid, but that's not true of me. That's long ago. What I am is the life that makes all this possible. I really could feel that. I'm by myself in this little cabin, just in the woods. And so I knew it. I just knew it. I remember writing it. That's it. It's over. And I remember getting up and reaching down and picking up this bottle of water, and there was no pain. It was gone. It really did just disappear, evaporated like it had never been there. And pains are like that. There's like doctors will say, well, we can't find any reason for that pain. Oh, but it's real. Well, all right, here, take this drug. We'll do a surgery. And we take a drug and we do a surgery, but we don't get to the core problem. There's that pain inside. It's still there. And so it's like, all right, we're going to make it louder next time. So then we get cancer, or whatever it is, so the whole idea is to understand that if we can connect and quiet our mind, and maybe we'll find the reason that our physical body is manifesting a symptom. And instead of trying to repress the symptoms all the time, like we're taught to in our fear-based medical establishment, experience it, see what the message is, and know that our body and our mind are self-healing. That's what they always want to do. They want to cleanse. They're always trying to cleanse and purify of any toxins, whether they're physical toxins that we take in through our food or water or air, or psychological or emotional toxins that we take in through what we're seeing and visualizing, or the feelings that we're having, or the conflicts that we have in our relationships, in stress and so forth. So many people have cancer because they never dealt with their anger against their parents, or who knows. So the whole idea is we can take responsibility. No one else can do it, but we can ourselves. And the idea is that through meditation is, I think, one of the best ways just to be quiet and listen, see what comes up. And then when a manifestation happens, say, well, what is this about actually? And we can find that we can return more and more to the being that we are before we were born. That's the great old Zen koan, which I love. It's like, what is your original face before you were born? What is your true face before you were born? Like, we think that we're just this body and this is what we are, this name and form, but actually we are what makes that possible. And the more we can allow ourselves to operate from that place, because the truth is that no one ever can deny, this is one thing we will all agree on, I'm pretty sure, is that we will all get to the point where we leave this body, right? That's going to happen. And at that point is not far away, really. It's maybe we get 8, 9, maybe 10 decades, eat a lot of sprouts, really healthy. Maybe you get 11 decades, but I remember hearing the oldest living human being, I think she was 117. They said, what's it like being 117? She said, it just went by awfully fast. So it's a brief. Our life is brief. We have to really understand that. And so we're going to be at that point when we're leaving, and it'll be, what did we learn? How did we contribute? That's the key. So if we can live every day remembering that, that's what I think one of the gifts that meditation can bring us, is that instead of this narrow focus of how can I get what I want here, just see, how can I give? What are my lessons here? How can I share? How can I help? How can I bless? Because that's when we leave, that's what's going to matter. I think we all know that. So much love to all of you. I think I'm really now out of time. I know there's another set of things happening, but it's great to be able to spend this time with you. And I send my love and appreciation, especially to Charles and and Leslie and the people who have helped organize and put this whole thing together. And just know that any seeds that you sow, they will definitely manifest. So sow the seed. Be conscious of the seeds that you're sowing. If you sow carrots, you're not going to get melons. You're going to get carrots. So sow the seeds that you want to see manifesting in your life and in our world together. And as we do that, sow the seeds of loving kindness and compassion and joy and freedom. We can all reap the rewards together. That's really, I think, what this is all about. So go forth, please, and multiply the message. And Madeline and I join in sending our love and appreciation to you. And thanks again for all your efforts. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Tuttle.
All right. So, and thanks. Some very nice messages here on the chat. I appreciate that as well. So, all right. I guess stay in touch. We have a website, worldpeacediet.com. You can see our schedule and our videos and Madeline's cooking videos and our meditations and CDs and so forth, all that's available. And we're happy to stay in touch with you, either virtually or maybe when we come through. We're still traveling and doing lectures throughout the United States. So.
And the world, yay!
And the world,
Coming
hopefully.
soon.
All right.
Blessings all.
Take care.